Corey with Kurzweil Education. Denise is going to be doing the presentation on writing, and we're doing a series of webinars, first introducing Kurzweil and then diving a little deeper in different areas that Kurzweil provides a solution. I do want to offer too that right now, while we're in this pandemic and people are trying to figure things out, Kurzweil is just offering you a free pilot, 30 users or whatever you need to get started. You go to our webpage, there's a free subscription, which there's always been, but this is longer. It's not going to shut off on you while this pandemic is going. So take advantage of that. And again, your local representative will be contacting you to see if that's something you want to do. At this point, I'd like to hand this off to Denise, who's going to be talking about some of the writing aspects of Kurzweil.
Thanks, everybody. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. As Corey mentioned, my name is Denise Fiesel. I am the representative, the Kurzweil representative for New York and Pennsylvania. And again, thanks for joining us. Good afternoon and good morning to those of you on the West Coast. Our topic today of our webinar is Let's Get Writing. We're focusing on Kurzweil Brainstorms and also sharing files. So as you'll see from my slide, our learning objectives, we're going to use Brainstorms as an instructional tool. We will copy, edit, save those. In addition, we will also create a new one so that you can do that on your own as well. And then lastly, we'll share files with students, whether it be publicly or privately within Kurzweil as well. Okay, so now I am in the web app. So Corey, can everyone see us? Can you see my screen okay?
Yes, yeah, okay. Looks good. And people have responded that they can see the screen.
Good, so thank you, everybody. Okay, so as you'll see, I am in the web app. I am in Chrome browser, and I'm on the landing page, which is our universal library. Down along the left-hand side, because I'm logged in as an instructor, we see my folder, the top level coordinator, some students, and down at the very, very bottom along the left-hand side, we see templates. Now, maybe some of you current users of Kurzweil have used these before. For those of you who are participating in the extended trial, maybe you haven't gotten here yet. And anyway, and you're on today because you want to delve into these a little further. So as you see, when I expand the templates folder, we have Higher Ed Brainstorms, K-12, and then Brainstorm for Teachers, which we'll look at a little, we'll have a look at them a little bit later, okay? And Brainstorms are simply, Brainstorm is the terminology, they are Kurzweil proprietary graphic organizers. So a way for you to help your students who need to focus to organize their thoughts and ideas before they do any kind of a writing. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to expand the Higher Ed Brainstorm, and as you'll see as I scroll down, these are types of writing assignments that a student would be assigned at the college level. Okay, and what I'd like to do is, and the reason I want to do this, I'm going to focus on the research essay plan, which is our research paper. And the reason I just want to take a quick look at it, the reason I want to do this is during this our extended free trial, after reaching out when people signed up for the trial, and then I reached out to them a few days later, a college student who signed up for this sent me an email and said, well, can Kurzweil help me write a research paper? And I was very happy to say, yes, we can. So, and this is the college level. What I like about this, you'll see it's already completed. And it takes, at a college level, it shows all of the steps that are involved in writing a research paper. And also what I like about this, if you'll notice the red boxes over here to the right of the main information, you can put in your date due and the time of the approximate time required. So students may not need to focus on any particular area unless it's somewhere where they do need to put a lot of time. They can also put in the date due, you know, per the professors wanting to see that. Okay, so I just wanted to give you a glimpse into that. I'm going to go back into the universal library. And now I'm going to expand those for K-12. And once again, as I scroll, you'll see that these are age-appropriate level assignments for middle and high school students. And once again, I'm going to focus on the research paper, which we call the research report. And remember, again, it's because these are Kurzweil proprietary. But as you'll see, once you open it, it is only read-only, but Kurzweil will tell you, you've got to make your own copy of it, because if you don't, any changes that you may make to these will be lost. You won't be able to save them. Now, I've already opened this, but what I could have done was, while I was still in the Universal Library, I could have selected it and made a copy of this template to my private or public folder if I wanted to. But because I didn't do that, what I'm going to do now so I can edit it a bit is save the document as. So in the upper left corner, I'm going to select Save the Document As. And notice when I do that, it allows me to put it in the folder that I want to, and I'm going to put it in my private folder and my subfolder that I've already have for Brainstorm. And this is my research report, and I'm going to call it, I already see I was playing around earlier, so I'm going to call it, I'm going to go a day ahead. I'm going to call it my 430 version, since I already have a 429, and I'm going to save it. Okay, so now here we are. Notice it has my title now, Research Report 430. So this is my Brainstorm now, and I'm able to edit it as I wish. So as you'll see, as I scroll down, you know, not as intensive as the college level one, of course, but it lays out all of the information in step-by-step format that a student would need to complete a paper. And we're going to do a little editing to this. So for example, we know we're in the research report, there's no specific instruction. When I highlight any box, notice on the right-hand side, I have a specific Brainstorm toolbar. And now all of those buttons populated, so I can use these for whatever it is I want to do. In this particular case, I don't want that research report box, so I'm just going to delete it. All right. Then I'm going to start here with the general research question topic. So I picked a topic for my paper. Is college education in line with the job market? Okay, and let's just say this is something a junior is delving into, all right? The focus topic of this paper is going to be to determine if a college education is required. Okay. For the thesis statement, I think for this grade level, this is something I'm really not, you know, I want the focus and I want an opening sentence. I'm not going to let them worry about get them hung up on this. So I'm going to get rid of this box too. I don't want it to be part of this assignment. Okay. And then I have the ability, I have a little disconnection now. So what I can do is I can move this a little bit to fill the space, and I can also, when I select that box, I can just simply make a new connector so that we have the same flow going through and the student can follow along step by step as they're composing their paper. Okay. For the open sentence hook, notice starting here and in other boxes on this screen, you'll see a little yellow sticky. And what these are instructional notes that we've embedded because these templates are instructional in nature. And you'll see in these various notes as you go in on your own for writing assignments that you're interested in, we give some instructions that you'll be able to edit as well. So for example, opening sentence hook, it tells us, what is interesting about this question? Hook your readers with an interesting fact that might make them curious about this topic. So it gives the student an idea of what it is that should be put in that particular box. So I'm going to say, will investing in a four-year degree pay off? Okay. Hopefully intriguing enough, interesting enough to get the student to continue with the paper. Okay. Now, as you see, as we continue, we have sources, and it lists 5 sources. Now, if you want more sources, you can add more. If you only want them to use 3 or 4, maybe you would want to delete an entire section. Whatever it is that you want to do. And I also want to show you with the note for the source review, the 5 sources, it says, use a wide range of sources to gather information. Now, for my students, I feel that that may not be specific enough. So I'm going to give them some ideas, especially if this is the first time they're doing a research paper. I'm going to give them some ideas of what kind of sources they can use. So I'm going to say they can use books, news reports, news articles, interview with a college student or recent grad, or a previous study. So now I've given them some more specific information, and when they open that, they can see exactly what it is that they'll be able to use. Okay? We start, I'm just going to put a little more information in here, author, source, and date. So let's say I have an article. Is college still worth it? And then I can continue with the citation information, list a few facts down here, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so the student is well on their way, they're well on their way to writing their paper. Now what I also like to show you, so let's say we can do this in pieces, or perhaps you want them to fill in their graphic organizer completely first. But up here in the upper right corner, the upper right corner, you'll notice that in our view section, I am in Brainstorm. But what I can do from here is I can change to outline form. And this is where, now I'm in outline form based on that Brainstorm, but I can continue to build it from here. So if I want to say, you know, the fact, college graduates earn more money over a lifetime than high school, whatever the particular fact may be. I can continue to build in my outline form, okay? I can, even if I want to, let's just say the student is doing research, I said a minimum of 5 sources is required, but they found a good 6th one that they want to include. So they come over here, and once again, I have an outline toolbar over here on the right-hand side, so I can continue to build my outline from here. So I'm going to add a 6th. Okay, and I think you get the idea. So we can continue building in the outline format. From here, once I have a substantial amount or possibly all of it completed, I can go to a split screen. And now with my outline over here on the left-hand side for me to use as a guide, this is where I can begin writing my paper. So I've been typing. Okay, but what I also can do, well, we didn't capitalize the I, there we go. What I also can do here is, because I'm in Chrome, and if you're in Chrome or Firefox, notice up on the toolbar in the navigation section, I have a speech to text feature. So if this is something in the student's IEP, if this is something that they prefer to use, they have this available. This is where I am further going to develop the content of this paper, period. Stop listening. Okay, and as you'll see, for those of you that have used the speech to text, it really doesn't need to be trained. It works very well. And I also have the ability, you know, if that might be a little small for you to see, but I do have the ability to change the font. And let's say, for example, your student is dyslexic. They can pick one of our dyslexic fonts. If they need a little bit larger size font, they can change that. And once again, continue writing their paper here, ... Stop listening. Okay, it missed the stop listening that time. But anyway, I think you get the picture. They can develop all of their thoughts here based on their outline on the left-hand side. And at any point, because we're in Kurzweil and we have the navigation buttons, they can still read what they're writing back to make sure it's coherent.
This is where I can start the paper. This is where I am further going to develop the content of this paper.
Okay. And then after that, I can go to my full draft form. And again, I can continue writing here. You know, I can develop my paper here if I want to. What I'm going to do is I'm going to save it. So notice it's my research report 430. Now, if I go up to my little save button, if I click on save the document, it will save that copy back to my Universal Library in the folder that I had it in. I can do a save document as, and that will allow me to pick the folder that I want it in. And also, if I want to down here file type, I can select it as a different file type if I want to. Okay, let's say, for example, I have this, you know, 90 to 95% finished at this point, and the requirements are to turn it in as a Word doc. Well, maybe I can go up here to my document options, and I also have the ability to download it in a different format from here. So here are some other formats. I can download it as a Word document and then finish my final editing, title, paper, etc., whatever else I want to do in the Word document. So you have a lot of options working with this. So I'm going to save my document back to my Universal Library. Okay. And as I said, when I go back, I have it in my Brainstorms, and here it is. What I like about the various views is that, let's say, you know, the student was working on this and then they closed it up, you know, because they had to jump on another online class or some other activity. And now a day or two goes by and they're coming back to work on it. Now notice as soon as it opened up, it brought me back to my draft format because that's the last view I was in. But at any point, especially, and you know, papers are big, so often they're worked in piecemeal format. I can go back to a split the screen. So if I want to see my outline and develop my paper with the split screen, I can do that, and it's saved everything I've done. If I just want to beef up my outline a little bit more, I can work at that in that view, and ultimately I can go back to the Brainstorm. Okay, so notice not only did it save, but every point we were at, every view we were in, it still maintained everything that I added to it, even if it was in another format. Now, if you don't like, notice for the space, you know, I put in that 6 that put it up here. If you don't like it, you know, if it's not aligned exactly the way you want it to be, we have a little button over on the Brainstorm toolbar that will rearrange it. So now, even because it's a pretty big Brainstorm, it did rearrange it in a more linear fashion. Okay, and here's that 6th one, and then we can go in and make changes to it, add our fact boxes, etc. Okay, so that's how you can alter a, I'm going to save this, that's how you can alter a Brainstorm. Okay. But what if you look through the Brainstorms and they have maybe if you find one similar to a writing assignment that you give needs a lot of editing, and maybe you don't, you know, want to go into that. You always have the availability or the ability, if you want to write your own Brainstorm, and this is available for the students as well. So I can go to my right button back in my Universal Library. I can select New Brainstorm, and I can call it Mrs. Smith's Book Review. Okay. And I'm going to create that new Brainstorm. Okay, so now here's my file. I have a blank Brainstorm. It starts with the main idea. I'm going to keep that. Okay. I'm going to keep that main idea, and this is going to be, I just want to get students up and running before they do a major book report or a paper. So I'm just going to call it the Quick Book Review. Okay. And what I can do from here is, if I know exactly what I want, I can use this tool over here called Quick Takes. Okay. And in it, I can add the text, and it will create subtext based on where I start. So I'm going to call it takeaway number 1. And then I'm going to do a takeaway number 2 and a number 3. Okay, and once again, if I don't like how that's set up, I can just arrange them. Okay, so it puts everything very nice and neat together, and I can build on that. So quick take for here, takeaway, I want a supporting idea, and then maybe I want 2 or 3 of them, whatever it is that I want. Okay, and it's going to build that for me. I also have the ability, this is a pretty Tiffany blue color, but if you want to color code various sections, kind of how you saw in the research paper, we can do that as well. So I'm going to highlight this and I'm going to change this color to, let's see, let's make it yellow, a brighter yellow, and I want this section, and I'm just selecting the box that I want to change the color. Okay. And then I can color code entire sections. I can change the text color if I want. I can just simply make it my own. Okay, so I recommend if you haven't been playing around with these. Oh, and one thing I'd like to show you too here, I can add a note. I showed you prior to the note that existed how I can edit a note. I can also add my note. And I want to tell them list, title, and author of book. You know, whatever it is that you want them to have, and then they have a note that they can reference, an instructional note that they can reference. Okay. So once again, I'm going to save this. So that's basically it for Brainstorm. At this point, I would take questions, but I need to finish up with sharing these files. So once again, I'm going to go back to the Universal Library. And let's just say I developed this Brainstorm, and now I want to share it with my students. Okay. So if I want all of them to have this, it's not a test or a quiz or anything. Probably the easiest thing for me to do is put a copy of it in my public folder. Okay, and that way when a student logs in, he or she will see that. So here's my book review. Now I can, if I just want to move the whole thing over, I can click and drag and move it over to my public folder. But if I want to keep a copy in Brainstorms and just make a copy in my public folder, I can do that as well. Okay, so I'm going to put it in my public folder. And I'm going to copy it. It tells me it was successful. And now when students log in, I'll use my TLC as an example. This is the top level coordinator. All you can see is their public folder. And when a student logs in, all they will be able to see is my public folder. So once again, I tell them I want you to go in my public folder and get the book review. And here it is. And they can open it, rename it, and you know, save a copy in their own folder. So that's the quickest way to share something that you might want to share with all of your students. Okay. But now, what if it's a quiz or a test? What if you have students, and you probably do, in special education, itinerant classroom, they're getting all different types of tests and quiz, not all of them. So you want to share individually. Or perhaps at the college level, same thing. You have 50 students that you work with in your office, and professors are sending you tests and things that are for all different students. So the way you can do that is you can select, I'm going to go into, here I have some tests. I'm going to pick this math quiz. Okay. And now in the upper right corner, now this time for copy, and you may have noticed before, instead of just copying it, because I am logged in as an instructor has this option, a student does not. I have the ability to copy to multiple. And when I do, I have some choices, and I'm going to show you in a minute. I'm just going to put it in one student's folder, but I can take this file. I can create a new folder and put it in for the students to access. I can, in one fell swoop, put a copy in all students' private folders if I want to. But what I'm going to do in the example I gave, let's just say this student, May's the only one who needs this math quiz. I'm going to put it in her private folder. Okay. And I'm going to copy it. Okay. So now, without logging in and out in the interest of time, the next time May logs in her private folder, she should find that math quiz. Here it is right here. Okay. And that's how we can make some brainstorms, edit some brainstorms, and share some files.
Okay, well, thank you all very much, and make sure you will all be getting an email from your representative, and you can do follow-up questions there or ask to dive in deeper, and they will provide a free webinar to you at your convenience on specific areas that you're interested in. All right, thank you, and thank you, Denise.
Thank you. Thank you all for joining us today. Corey, thank you for fielding all the questions, and good luck with your Kurzweil trial or existing customers. You know, we hope you dig a little bit deeper and try out a new activity in Kurzweil for you and your students.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Denise.
Have a good day.